Folks, I've been on a bit of an emotional roller coaster lately. I came up here when I booked my United Polaris ticket recently. That's United's new business class, and I watched all the YouTube reviews and people were raving about it and it looked awesome. And then I flew on it and I did one of these where I came back down. Why is that the case? Well, allow me to explain. Welcome back to another Is It Worth It luxury review video where I try to find value in luxury and show that to you. I review expensive and fancy things and try and explain whether they're actually worth the extra cost. Today's video is going to be about United Polaris, or their brand new business class, or first class if you will, experience. You're probably wondering what the hell is wrong with this guy being me. Why am I having an emotional roller coaster over a premium airline experience? That sounds very silly, to be honest, and you're right, it is really silly. It's not like I'm debating the meaning of life here, but in my defense, I do spend a lot of my life on airplanes, and United ones at that. This is just the kind of person I am. I tend to kind of wrestle emotionally and have an internal grappling over fancy things. That sounds so ridiculous. And look, man, I was excited for United Polaris. I had seen all the ads. They had all these billboards around where I live. I had watched all these YouTubers just raving and talking about how this is a game changer and this is the best new experience when it comes to the premium classes, and I was stoked. So here I am. I found a great fare, a pretty good deal for it. It was going to be on my trip home. I had my long business trip. I was exhausted. I get to the airport. I'm stoked about this experience, and I fly on it. And when I walked off the plane, I had one of those moments where I was like, was that it? Like, did I just fly what I thought I flew? Was that Polaris? So I'm going to explain what I think happened, and I think there's a reason. So I'm going to split this video into three parts. The first part is going to be what is Polaris, because there's some nuance there, and I actually do think it's really important. The second part is going to be the actual review of the seat. I took a lot of footage of the seat. We're going to walk you through the seat, the changes, what's different, what are you getting, why did they, what did they spend the money on the upgrades for, all of kind of the hard product there. The third part, and this is kind of important, so I think you should stay tuned for this third part, is how not to get screwed by Polaris. As in, United has actually been kind of shady when it comes to the Polaris experience, and a little bit, if you ask me, misleading to some people. So stay tuned for that part at the end so that you don't get screwed over by it. One last thing I do want to mention before we get into the review and the whole video here. This was a domestic flight. It was not an international flight, and there are some differences there. The hard product, the seat, that's the same. So overall, I think this view is pretty encapsulating. When it comes to international flights, you're going to get a little bit more food, a little bit more snacks, and access to the lounge, which by all means, I've heard the lounge really is amazing. But this review should really encapsulate the massive changes that have been made to Polaris. Another thing I do want to note about this video is I'm going to come off extremely picky here, and I do think that's fair in this situation. This is a first class seat that costs a lot of money, and United's really kind of stuck their chest and boasted about how amazing this new Polaris experience is going to be. So I'm going to be the judge of that. And I think you as the consumer are going to get a little more value out of that, because if you're going to spend all this money, you really want to know what you're getting yourself into. So let's talk about what is Polaris. So Polaris is United's new business class, but technically they've rolled their first class into it as well. So really it's just United's new premium experience. And this is not just a little bet they're making. This is something that you kind of stake the entire company on. This is something that a CEO can get a $40 million bonus over it, or if it's a failure, they'll lose their job over it and just get a $20 million golden parachute. United has spent a lot of money on this. They have spent a bejesus amount of money, that is a technical accounting term, a bejesus amount of money on marketing. There's billboards everywhere. They were doing TV commercials. For a premium experience like this, which is a pretty niche market when you think about it, not a lot of people fly business or first class. The amount of marketing they did on a national scale is pretty ridiculous. There were even blog posts from a lot of travel blogs wondering, why is United spending so much money on this marketing? What is going on here? Polaris can kind of be summed up in three main changes. The first change is the lounges. They've upgraded a lot of the lounges and they've made them a lot more private and premium. Formerly, United lounges weren't anything special. There'd be some cheese and crackers, some wine, maybe a bar, maybe some hot food buffet, but nothing special. For example, a Centurion lounge, which I've talked about in my other videos, would blow the United lounges out of the water, be way, way, way better. So these new Polaris lounges are really, really, really nice. They have made-to-order meals, they have meditation areas, resting areas, the desk or the seats have been designed with travel in mind. It makes a lot of sense. They've done a really nice job here. However, at the moment, only international passengers get to use the Polaris lounge. So I was flying Polaris from Newark to SFO, but I did not get to use the lounge. That kind of sucked. The second change that's been made is the soft product. What is the soft product? That's the blankets, the pillows. They're made by Saks Fifth Avenue now. They had advertised that they're going to have these nice new gel pillows or memory foam pillows. By the way, they got rid of those, so that's another kind of annoying thing about Polaris that happened. And then they've upgraded the amenities kit. Though when I took a look at the amenities kit, I thought it was no different than any other amenities kit I have seen. Quite frankly, I do not fly first class to have an amenities kit. That's not the main thing I'm excited about. And the third change to United Polaris is the new hard product or the new seats. This is really what everyone is stoked about, what everyone's excited about, and this is what I'm going to be focusing a lot of my time reviewing. So let's get into it. Let's talk about these new seats. I want to start with the good things, the things they nailed. Let's talk about that. One thing they nailed was the sense of privacy and the sense of your own space. You'll notice that the seats actually look like your own little cubby. It actually feels like your own little cabin, if you will, within the cabin. And this was, I think, the biggest change they made and the best change they made. When you look at the other premium airline experiences, like if you watch Casey Neistat's video about the Emirates experience in their premium classes, those are super private seats. Polaris, what they did really well is you get a really private area to yourself, which is really nice on a long flight. Hell, it's even nice on a short flight. First time I ever saw it when I walked on the plane that one time and I had the FOMO because I was sitting in economy, I thought, geez, that is a lot of real estate to give to the passenger. The seats look like a lot of space. I mean, again, I don't even want to call it a seat. It's more of your own little cubby, your own cabin that you're getting. And I was thinking, man, that's a lot of space to give to people. I'll talk a little bit about that later on, though. It actually isn't that much space, but we'll get into that later. And then in your little personal cubby, they've crammed a ton of little features in there. So for example, there's this little side table, which I thought was genius. It looks like it's marble. It's not marble, it's just a plastic. This side table is genius. You can put your headphones there. You can put your water there. A big kind of issue is people are always stuffing things in the pocket in front of the seat in front of them. You got to put all the stuff under the seat in front of you when you're sitting in economy. This gets rid of all that. You can put your laptop, headphones, water, whatever, to the side there. It's where all your chargers are. I loved this side table. I thought it was aesthetically very pleasing. It was very classy. I thought it was something they absolutely nailed. Next to the side table, you'll actually notice a little lamp. The lamp really served no purpose. It almost gave zero light, and there were multiple other lights in the seat that they had that actually gave you light. But I liked the lamp. I thought it was cool. I thought it was one of those things where they didn't have to do it, but by adding it, it made it feel like, again, it was your own personal space, your own little cabin in this area, and I thought it was a really nice touch. I thought they did a good job there. The other thing that they really changed and really nailed was the tray table. This is the greatest tray table I've ever seen. That's a really strange thing, but they really kind of changed the game here. Most tray tables, they either come down from the seat in front of you or they come out of the armrest, and one big trade-off you have to make on the tray table is you either have your food on it or you have your laptop. You cannot have both. So if I was working on a flight or watching something on my laptop or on my iPad, I had to either eat my food or watch my content. Now, I sound really spoiled here where I want to eat and watch, or I want to eat and work, but this is actually pretty important to a lot of passengers. So what they did was they made a massive tray table. This thing folds out and is twice the size of any tray table I've ever seen. They really nailed it here. It's also on this very cool track system, so you kind of just push it and pull it out and it glides back and forth. Really nice experience there, really easy to get it in and out, really easy to deploy it quickly and then reset it. That was really nice. Another cool thing about the tray table, because it's on this track system, you could put something on it and push it away from your legs if you needed to get up. And in others, in the old scenarios, if you had the tray table coming kind of out of the armrest, you would have to close your laptop, store it somewhere, undo the tray table, put it down in, get up, and then you could use the bathroom. But now if you want to use the bathroom, you just slide the tray table away from you and you can get up. You can leave your laptop out, you can leave the food on there. That was a really nice and I think really smart touch where they really understood their passengers. These seats are lie flat seats, so you're able to lie completely flat as long as you're 6'6" and under. So me being 6 feet tall, that was no problem for me. They use a cool new system. There's actually this little dial that you would kind of move back and forth and the seat would glide front and back. Kind of like in a new car, how they do it with their seats, except if you keep pushing this dial, the seat will go completely flat. This was a nice little change on how to do it. Nothing too crazy there because a lot of old first classes have lie flat seats too. Another thing I want to call out is the screen. The screen is massive, which was really cool. I like that. And it was super snappy and super responsive to touch. I know that may sound kind of silly, but it was really nice to have the technology and the software work really well. You could just kind of move around the screen really, really quickly, browse through the films really, really quickly. I thought that was a nice touch, and I do want to highlight that as a nice part of the experience. So the privacy part, that's really nice. You know, on other first class cabins, you don't really get your own private area. You know, sometimes it actually feels like you're right next to people, right on top of people when you're still in first class. And then the tray table was really good. The little side table was really, really good. It was clear that they listened to their passengers or they learned from their passengers. And these changes were made with the passenger in mind, which I think was really nice. So Polaris comes with a lot of changes, and some of them, as I mentioned, have been really good and with the passenger in mind. And then some of the changes were just flat out bad, and I don't think United intended for these to be bad changes. Clearly they wouldn't do that, but there were some changes where I kind of thought, I don't think you had a passenger sit in the seat very long because there were some glaring issues. For one, the cubby space you get, while it is nice and private, it's not that big. The tray table is nice and you're able to put a lot of stuff there, but the seat itself actually feels a little bit smaller. And if you compare it with some of their other first class experiences, like on the 777 airlines, this seat is actually a much smaller space. On the 777, you have an entire massive open area to it. It's an open area, it's not as enclosed as a result, and so you feel less private, but there's a lot more space. So with this trade-off of privacy, at times actually felt a little contained and a little claustrophobic. People who sit in the even numbered seats will have this massive kind of panel right in your face. So that's the other person's seat, and I understand you have to design it that way. They're kind of staggered. It was a weird experience to have this kind of wall right there in front of me. Wasn't really a big fan of that. So one thing that I did think wasn't great, and this is a really important one, was the legroom. A lot of people like the upgrade to first class and business class because you get so much more legroom. That's really what the big change is. And on Polaris, I think they kind of messed up the legroom, if that makes any sense. So if you compare Polaris to other first class seats, you'll actually notice that it is smaller. It's not the same. And I had recently flown first class on a 777 airline. I think I referred to it earlier in the video. That seat, the legroom was massive. You could really kind of just spread your legs out. I don't know why you would do that, but if you wanted to, you could do it and you would have room to do it. In this seat, your legs are kind of always confined to be straight and narrow. Now, I am bigger than most people. I'm 6 feet tall and 200 something pounds, but I still think I should fit normally in the seat. And there were times where I felt a little constrained in the seat and I felt like the legroom wasn't really nice. And one of the big bummers was that awesome new tray table. I love the new tray table, but it removes some of the height on your legroom, so my knees were constantly slamming into it. And it was actually maybe 2 or 3 times where I was in some serious pain where I forgot the tray table was there and I kind of pulled my legs back and pulled my knees up a little bit, and they bumped right, the kneecap went right into the tray table, and that was a bummer as well. So it's odd, like they really nailed certain experiences and certain changes. I mean, again, the size of the tray table, awesome. The side table, the little, fake marble side table, awesome. The privacy you get, really nice. But the trade-offs are actually pretty large. Again, legroom is one of the most important things in a first class seat. That's why you get it, to feel comfortable. And I just did not feel that comfortable in the seat. Some of United's older seats, I thought, did a much better job providing comfort. That does it for the review of the seat. Let's get into something that I think is really important, and that's how to actually fly United Polaris and not get screwed by United here, because it is really easy to get misled by United in this situation. And there have been numerous articles online about how people are getting kind of a bait and switch here. So what United has been doing is they'll list flights as Polaris, and you're thinking, nice, I'm getting this new seat, this new hard product, but actually all you're getting is the soft product. Exactly, you heard that right. All you're getting is a blanket and a pillow, and United is calling that Polaris, which I think is really messed up, because they gave you the Polaris soft product, this pillow with Saks Fifth Avenue written on it, and a blanket with Saks Fifth Avenue written on it, and an amenities kit. They're going to call that Polaris, and I think that's messed up. That's not Polaris. That is just a new blanket and a new pillow. So the right way to verify if you're actually flying it is to, one, there's a tracker. You look on this tracker, and they'll tell you which flights have been upgraded and overhauled. And two, the seat map. The seat map will tell you if you're flying Polaris or not. The Polaris seats have a more squarish look to them. They look like the cubbies I mentioned. And then regular first class and business class seats, they're a little skinnier looking, and they're a little different. And the layout is very different on those as well. I think the seat layout's another really easy way to know. If you see that squarish looking seat, then you know you got the real deal. All right, so in conclusion, let's wrap this up. I'm going to quote Sylvia Plath here, and I cannot believe I'm quoting Sylvia Plath of all people when I'm talking about a freaking first class airline experience on a YouTube video, and I'm quoting Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath said, if you expect nothing from somebody, then you're never disappointed. And well, ain't that the truth? That is why this assessment is so difficult. I expected a lot from Polaris. I mean, United marketed the hell out of it. The YouTube videos talk about how amazing and great it is. I really got my hopes up. And I think the most damning thing I can think of is I had just flown United First Class on a 777 airline a few weeks before, and that was an amazing seat, a fantastic seat, and I really had a good experience. And guess what? It was a really old seat as well. When you go to Polaris, I didn't think Polaris was that much better. So I don't know if you guys are waiting for this part. I don't know if this is expected, but would I say that United Polaris is worth it? For the situation I was in, where I didn't get to use the lounge, and I sat in an even number seat, and there's the things I talked about, no, I don't think it was worth it. I don't think it's that much better, if better at all, than United's other first class experiences. So maybe the question is, was it worth it to United to go through the trouble to do this upgrade? Maybe that's a better question to ask. Should they have spent all the money upgrading to get this product? And the answer is I don't think so. So that does it for this video. This one's a little different, I think, maybe a little more emotional than my other videos. But let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. Leave a like if you found it useful. If you learned something, please do like the videos. It does help me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Every time I see my subscribers go up, it's an awesome feeling, and it motivates me to make more of these videos. I have a bunch more videos in the pipeline. I cannot wait to make these videos. Some really cool, informative, fun ones. This has been a really good thing for me. I love making these videos for you guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.